Hey there, home theater fans. My name is Todd Anderson with avnirvana.com, and we're here at CES 2023. I'm hanging out with Jason Dustle of Murideo, and we're checking out some HDMI cable testing equipment. This is for 8K and down. It's cutting edge stuff.
Yeah, one of the things that we're super proud about as a company is we're usually ahead of the game, right? So in 2014, we came up with the very first ever handheld portable signal generator that could do 18 gigabits per second.
Okay.
We're talking years and years and years ago. And over time we've evolved, of course, and now we're up to our 8K 40 gigabit per second test kit. So I've got a generator on one side and an analyzer on the other side. So if I'm setting up a system, I want to make sure the infrastructure is all correct before I hang the projector and put all the components in and things like that. A lot of cases, a lot of integrators will pre-build the rack. So you can do some really cool tricks. I can take the analyzer, copy the EDID from the projector into the analyzer.
Okay.
Now I can go over to my rack, plug the output of the rack into this analyzer. The rack thinks that it's that projector. So before the projector's hung up on the ceiling and all that fun stuff, you can make sure your infrastructure's ready to go. But also the big thing is troubleshooting. So if you're putting in a system or you're taking a retrofit job, or maybe you're just having some sort of weird problem with a system you're working on, you can use your generator and analyzer to figure out what the problem is. We can do HDCP testing. We can do things like reading the EDID. We can go resolutions up to 8K 60, or we can do 4K 120. So when we're doing these new HDMI 2.1 high bandwidth systems, we can fully test the system, or we can test individual components, or we can test the cable itself. So you might have a system where there's 5 things in the signal chain, but there might be 7 or 8 failure points because of the cable.
Right.
And any one of those things could be causing the problem.
Right.
So you bring your kit on site, you start plugging things in, start seeing exactly what's going on, and you find out, oh, this whole problem I've been having for half a day is because of a bad cable. Or maybe it's because, oh, I'm checking the output of my source. I was expecting the source to output 8K, and it's only outputting 4K.
Right.
Why? The thing that's so great about it is I plugged something in and pushed one button, and I knew within a few seconds that the source wasn't set up correctly. So instead of like swapping things out and just sort of guessing at what's wrong, these are the tools that you'll use to really figure out exactly how to fix the system.
Right, and this is really intended for the installer side who are working with crazy rack systems.
Exactly, yeah.
Homes that are just wired to the nines with cabling.
Lots of big commercial jobs,
right,
where they have 40 TVs or 40 displays like in a restaurant or a college auditorium, or just insert your own example you want to, but big systems, you're having lots of problems, these are life-saving tools.
But this is also like a home theater enthusiast dream, especially for those of you out there that are OCD-ish and they really want to know if everything is hooked up correctly. Even if you have a 30-foot run, this would be fun to have, although probably rather expensive for the average hobbyist to bring into their house.
For a hobbyist, it might be a little overkill, but one thing I do want to add into that mix is if you're doing any video calibration, you're not going to use the analyzer in that form, in that function, but you're definitely going to use the generator. So whether you're using CalMan for color calibration or Color Space or any of the calibration packages out there, we work with all of them. So if you're getting into video calibration, projectors, TVs, things like that, this is going to be your test signal generator.
Awesome.
So if you're hooking up your test patterns, you've got your light meter on the screen, and you're calibrating your TV. So in that case, you would just use the signal generator. And the great thing about this kit is you don't have to get it as a kit. So what a lot of people will do is they'll get the generator first and then add the analyzer later. Or you can buy it as a kit. So you can kind of piece things together and for what your specific needs might be. We have a lot of folks out there who just calibrate, so they just have the generator. I like having the analyzer myself because I do show up to some calibration jobs where the system might not be set up quite right, so I want to be able to figure out why. But it is just like a killer combo for anybody out there who's doing any kind of systems. And we do have, for somebody who might be an enthusiast, we do have kind of the baby brother to this system. We call it the Fox and Hound. It's not going to link up and do calibration and things like that, but it does have some test patterns built in. So you can do brightness and contrast and just get like the basic things right. And then you still have all that testing and capabilities for cables and systems.
So you can still check out your system and make sure it's all hooked up correctly and 100%. The cables are not causing any issues.
Exactly. You're exactly right.
And what kind of pricing are we talking about for the single?
This kit together is $4,500. The analyzer itself, if you want to get that by itself, is about $2,500.
Okay.
The generator itself, the analyzer is about $2,000. The generator's about $3,000, somewhere right around in that price point. But if you get it as a kit, it comes with this nice hard, flight-approved case, and we've got a couple of adapters in there and some cables and stuff to have on site with you if you run into problems. I of course like seeing people get the whole kit. You know, it's one thing to be able to generate the signal, but if you don't know what's coming out on the other end, that makes it a little more tough too.
Right on. Yeah.
HDCP errors, it's like the bane of the installer's existence is HDCP problems. So one thing that's really handy, I love about it, I can come in and I can generate an 8K signal, but I can turn HDCP off. So that eliminates HDCP problems through the system. So if I turn HDCP off and I get a signal, and then I turn HDCP on and the picture's flashing,
you know there's a problem.
I know there's an HDCP problem. We found it out in 5 seconds.
Yeah, it's endlessly complex.
Basically,
these systems get very confusing fast.
It can be, absolutely. Especially you're mixing old stuff with new stuff. Some stuff's 4K. The living room TV's 8K. The kitchen TV's 1080p.
Right.
So, you know, being able to get your EDIDs figured out and all that stuff through a matrix switch or AV over IP system is super essential to get the system to work right. These are the tools that help you do it.
It kind of makes me miss the days of UHF and the rabbit ears and just kind of dialing your picture in.
Like, there it is.
Yep. Yeah,
Don't
exactly.
Don't breathe. Don't move.
Yeah, but it's nice to have this kind of equipment available.
It really
make sure things are humming.
We get compliments all the time. Like we get people stopping by the booth and like, hey, we have stuff like this from you guys, or the Fox and Hound kit. We've saved infinite amounts of money in truck rolls and service calls because of those tools. So,
right. Yeah. And did you lug this stuff out to New York City for the flat panel shootout?
We did. Yep, I actually brought 2 pieces. We brought our 7G signal generator, which is kind of a step up from the 6G generator.
Okay.
And we can talk a little bit about what the capabilities are. But
sure.
One of the things that's great about this, and one of the things we were using at the shootout, were some of the we purposefully partnered up with a company called Spicy Pixels, or a production company, and they sent us all these super high quality demo clips. So HDR, 4K, all that fun stuff. So when we're doing evaluations for TVs and projectors at shootouts and other events like that, you know, you can fire up one of these images right away, and you get an HDR logo pops up on the screen, and you know, literally one button, and you know that the system's working correctly and HDR is working correctly.
Right.
But we were using that to show some of the demo clips, and then we were using the 6G to do most of the calibration work and getting test patterns on the screens to set black levels and white levels and things like that.
Yep.
So we actually had both of them out there. And I did bring an analyzer because we're doing a fairly complex system through a matrix switch and all these other things.
Right.
Luckily, we didn't have to use the analyzer. We used an AV Pro matrix switch, which, you know, a couple of settings in there, and it's almost plug and play. But I had the analyzer with me just in case there were problems. Luckily, there weren't any. But I would much rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it.
Yeah, the one time that you didn't think you needed,
every time
you would need it.
It always happens. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's kind of the quick and dirty of what the test equipment does with the kit. And then the 7G, that's more of a, we do have a lot of calibrators that use the 7G because it does have some of these high quality clips already built in. It's 1,100 test patterns, so the calibrators really like that.
Wow.
There's test patterns from ISF, there's test patterns from Sony, there's test patterns from Diversified Video Solutions, from Professional Video Alliance. So we just really loaded that thing up.
So they all come preloaded.
Yes,
on this unit.
Exactly. And if you have some specific clips that you like, or some specific still images or test patterns that you like that aren't in there, you can upload them yourself.
Oh, wow. Okay, so customizable.
Customizable, lots of audio capabilities. If you're a QA engineer or engineer for a AVR manufacturer, you want to make sure the eARC is working correctly with a specific Dolby format. That's more of what that piece is for. But because of the powerful capabilities with all the test patterns and whatnot, we do have a handful of calibrators out there who have this, and who uses this a lot are the TV reviewers, because they want to do latency testing. It comes with a visual probe. It comes with a microphone. I can figure out the latency on this TV with a few buttons on the screen here. And the reviewers love that because they can calibrate it with it. They can validate HDR and Dolby Vision with it. They can make sure the eARC is working correctly. They can do latency measurements. Again, it's a super, super powerful tool. It took us a few years to build it out and stuff like that, getting it through Dolby and all their processes. But we're super proud of it. It's a great tool.
I'm hesitant to ask, but how much?
What do you think?
20 grand.
Nope.
40 grand. Down, really? 10? 5?
7.
7. Wow. Okay.
Yes. It's a
so I way overshot.
Tool. Yeah. But that's
very reasonable.
Common,
I mean, considering everything that you're getting in addition to what this has.
Right.
That seems.
And you can mix and match. Don't get me wrong. You could have this as your signal generator, but have that as your analyzer. Maybe you don't calibrate, right? So like you can still do cable tests between the two with your HDMI cable in question. So, you know, some people do have this and this. Some people have this and this. And with all of our stuff, it all works with each other, so there's no worries.
Right.
Yeah.
So next Christmas season, holiday season, when your wife or friends ask you, hey, what do you really want? What can we buy you? What don't you have?
Yeah. How about some HDMI test equipment?
Right, exactly.
Sounds super fun, right?
Yep,
Like,
yeah. Yeah, we'll drop some links down in this
Sure.
video over to your website so people can check these out there.
We do have some free test patterns on the website.
Yes.
So some of them that are built into here, we have downloadable for free on the website.
Awesome.
So if somebody's out there who doesn't have the resources to buy a tool like this, but they want to get certain levels set correctly on their TV or projector, go to Murideo.com. There's a resources tab. You can download a bunch of these test patterns yourself. And we like to provide that for people because at the end of the day, we care about how things work.
Sure.
And we care about the experience of the end user.
Yeah.
So even if you could download some basic test patterns for free and get some very simple levels set up on your projector or TV, so Game of Thrones isn't too dark.
Right.
You can do some basic things like that.
Okay.
If you want to start going crazy and doing color correction, that's when we start to get into some stuff like this.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, listen, Jason, thank you so much for hanging out with us.
Always fun.
This is really cool stuff, folks. So definitely go down to the links and head over to Murideo and check this stuff out. That's all we've got right now from CES 2023, and we'll see you soon.